Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I'm Pastor Mark Baze. Now, I've been teasing it for a while now. We're going to finally talk about the matter of Trump appointing Paula White to be over his office of faith. And I'm going to give you some opinions here, some that you may like, some you may dislike. But hey, you listen to this show so you can understand at least my thoughts on the matter. Now, before I get into that, I want you to know that this week, as well as the weeks following, I am really trying to get this Bible conference all ready. The reason why I'm trying to get ahead of the curve, because we're still not quite a month out yet. You know, today is the 11th, so still a little bit over a month, just barely, but I'm trying to get ahead of the curve because there's some things I want to be able to do and have ready for you when you get here. So, of course, you will get full access to the conference online. It'll be live streaming on Worshipify. It'll be live streaming on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch the whole thing. We'll record it. But there are some things, though, that I'm wanting to do for those who actually get to make it in person. And so I hope that you are looking forward to all of that. And I'll go ahead and just promote it right off the bat. For anybody who doesn't know, we are going to be addressing common Bible study mistakes. And these mistakes are so common, I think that maybe even some of us can commit them from time to time. So while many of you will come to this conference and be, what's the word I'm looking for? Just simply encouraged, because finally there's a conference going on that actually is teaching good, sound doctrine, the Bible rightly divided. But not only that, I think that you'll even see some things that hopefully you'll find, yeah, I see that even going on within, some of my own fellow right dividers. And you may not agree with everything I'm going to present to you during the conference, but the great thing is, it's going to make you think, right? You'll get to consider the matter, chew on it, decide what you want, chew the meat, spit out the bone kind of thing. But I want this to be something to where everybody, no matter how far along you are, no matter how advanced you are in your knowledge, your doctrine, your years and time of study, I hope that you can take something from this, because this is something that I've learned from not only my own experience, but also other people. And what I'm trying to do is compile the experience I have, the experience that others have, as well as just observations that we're making around us, and be able to put all that together in a way that I can give you a good overhead view. Now, certainly during this conference, I'm not going to be able to address everything. We're only going to be able to just barely scrape the surface on the issue of Bible translation, but we will address it. So there'll be some things that I will discuss where it's more like, hey, now you've been introduced to it, now go do your own homework. Go study to show yourself approved, and you decide how you're going to handle and what you're going to view concerning these various matters and issues. So very excited that Rick is scheduled to join us. Really appreciate that, and hopefully the rest of you will be able to join us either in person, preferably in person because we'd love to have you, but also just online as well. That's why we do this. All right. Now let's see here. I want to first and foremost address this matter, and this is really the main topic I have. I don't have anything too life-changing for you. The great thing is, and I will be honest with you, okay? The coming weeks, you may notice I may not utilize the full hour of the show. That is because prepping these are quite a bit of work, okay? Let me just be very honest here. Revivals, so easy. So easy. Somebody could call me right now and say, Mark, I need you to do a 3-night revival starting tonight. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, even throw in Friday. I need to do 4 nights of revival. Can you do it for me? I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm not a fan of doing revivals. I've never really done a revival. I feel like most of all mine that some have called a revival are really more of a Bible conference studying Scripture. But the truth is, I could do it easily, and I wouldn't really have to do that much prep. doing a Bible conference it's like homework. it's like preparing an essay. No, more than an essay, more like a paper, right? A lengthy paper in college, what have you. So you may notice I may cut things off a little bit early, the 50-minute mark or so. That's because what I want to do is I don't want to have to take a break from doing the daily show, but here in a few weeks, if I'm not at a certain deadline, okay, I just want to be very upfront with you, be very honest with you. If I'm not at a certain deadline in a few weeks, I may have to take a week off, maybe even 2 weeks off, because this does take time. It's an hour out of the day that I can use. And also, there's a little bit more to it than just this hour, because you got to make sure that everything's turned on, everything's working, and so I got to be sitting in the chair before I'm ever even going live. And so with that, just understand, okay, if you wonder, hey, he's not really giving us the full hour, that's because I am trying to avoid having to potentially take a week off from the daily show. But with that, we do have time today to discuss this matter of Paula White. But before we do, this comes in the context of Trump having the establishment of the White House Faith Office. This was an executive order, February 7th, 2025. And I read most of the executive order. So, first and foremost, it begins by the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, and to assist faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship in their efforts to strengthen American families, promote work and self-sufficiency, and protect religious liberty. It is hereby ordered. And it goes on and goes through the policy. Now, already I will say, I don't like the idea of federal government working with faith-based entities, but that's because I'm a very small government guy. I like the idea that get government down so small that you hardly even notice it's there. However, let me say, we live in the times we live in, okay? We just do, plain and simple. We don't live in the age of small government. We just don't. Now, I think the essence of the Trump administration is smaller government than Joe Biden's. And I know that some people would disagree with me. But I do think overall, the policies of the Trump administration is more small government than what Joe Biden had going. That doesn't mean that Trump is a small government politician, by no means. And really, who is nowadays? Nobody gets elected on a small government platform. They just don't. In principle, I don't like the idea of there being an office of faith that really works with faith-based entities. I just don't think that, I think these things should be divided out. But there's all sorts of things I wish that didn't exist. So we have to work with what we've got for right now. And if there's going to be the office of faith, there's certainly better ways to carry it out than others. So let's go ahead and consider more of what is being said. Section 1, policy, faith-based entities. And I don't know to what extent, how do we define a faith-based entity? Is that a church? Is that a nonprofit organization? Crisis pregnancy center? I don't know. But faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship. Now that's very clearly, I think, a church, houses of worship. Have tremendous ability to serve individuals, families, and communities through means that are different from those of government, and with capacity and effectiveness that often exceeds that of government. These organizations lift people up, keep families strong, and solve problems at the local level. Now, I like this. I like how they're acknowledging that really the best way to help communities is relying on the community. Let the community solve the community's problems. Don't let big government come in and be the primary means by which communities are built up. And if people don't want to be a part of the community, being the church, the local church, that's really their own fault. I've said before, if you would like to have a structural support system, people who come to help you, why not be a member of a local church and see how you all of a sudden are a part of a community of people that will help you? And we're not really talking about just free handouts, but if you need assistance in some way, then they can meet those needs. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how a community works. The executive branch wants faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship to the fullest extent permitted by law to compete on a level playing field for grants, contracts, programs, and other federal funding opportunities. Once again, this is where the small government in me does not like, I don't like it one bit. I don't want the federal government spending money on anything that is not of immediate need, primarily the military, and then maybe whatever need concerning infrastructure, roads, things like that. National parks, I'm for national parks. I think those are a good thing, even though probably, truth be told, national parks are a little bit extensive, and especially out west, you can't hardly get private property in the west anymore. All that to be said, I just don't like it in principle. I just don't. Once again, is this about are we discussing this matter, playing this game in which Mark can create whatever he wants? No, it's not. This isn't about what I want. I can sit here and complain and say what I want all day long, but to a degree, I have to operate within what we're given. So here are my thoughts. We know for certain, okay, for all those who read this and want to recoil, as I want to read it and recoil, we all do not like the idea of grants, government assistance being given to faith-based organizations. Just because I don't want the government handing out a bunch of money. Let the faith-based entities and organizations take care of themselves. However, what have we seen from the previous administration? How much money are secular organizations receiving? Secular organizations getting grants that, when I say secular, are really not secular at all. They're pushing the left-wing agenda. How much money has BLM got? How much have they gotten? And BLM is a Marxist propaganda organization. How many other organizations, institutions, entities have received government handouts? I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying if we're giving grants, wouldn't it be better to go to a crisis pregnancy center than some other organization that is promoting immoral activities? I'm just simply saying it's the world we live in. For everybody do not listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and say, oh, so you're just in support of big government as long as it's for you. No, I want small government. I'm just saying big government's big right now, and there's just not really any way to get around it. It'll take years and years, maybe even decades, to bring up a generation of politicians who are willing to limit government. Okay, that's all I'm saying. In the meantime, at least Trump is not giving all that federal support to institutions that are, for example, murdering children or transing children, or, sending buckets of cash overseas to trans children and murder children. Seems to be. They really do like attacking the children, don't they? I'll remind you before I go any further, we get people unsubscribed from this channel all the time. So if you are a new subscriber, you've discovered me recently through, I don't know, a video that kind of got a little bit of traction, you may just have to check ever so often that you're still subscribed, okay? Because people have told me before, even people that I'm looking at whose names are in the chat right now, YouTube has unsubscribed you before, and maybe it's because we've mentioned the issue of, you know, the liberal motives to attack our children. I'll remind you that I do go live on Worshipify every day as well. If you go to worshipify.com, you can see right here. You have my show, Shields and Arrows. And then, oh yeah, Dr. White has his, little show that he does. I'm just picking on him. He still has, even though I've surpassed him in YouTube subscribers, he still has more daily watchers than I do. Maybe that's because he's built his over years and I've done it through a few videos that have gotten some, momentum. But if you go over to Worshipify and you click on the Shields and Arrows video, you will see, look at that, there we are. Going live. I don't know if our good friend Scott's on with us today. But yes, that's the live stream that goes on Worshipify right now. So you can absolutely watch if YouTube wants to take us out, restrict us, anything like that, just so you know. All right, moving on back to our regular conversation here. As we discuss more about this executive order concerning the Office of Faith. Scott, hope you're on with us today. Good to talk to you. Now, moving on here. Let's continue to look at this executive order a little bit further. The office shall be housed in the Domestic Policy Council and headed by Senior Advisor to the White House Faith Office and supported by other positions to the President considers appropriate. In carrying out this order, the office shall work with the Domestic Policy Council. Let's move on here. So the White House Faith Office functions, A, to the extent permitted by law. So this goes back to the idea of there shall be no federal church, no federal law of specific religion. It goes back to religious liberty, that each state can exercise religious freedom in doctrine. It was more so the idea of, hey, how about we let the Pennsylvanians be, congregationalists, and then, or the Presbyterians. Obviously the Pennsylvania. I'm thinking, somebody help me with my history here. They may have been the Presbyterians, and then, the Rhode Islanders can be the Baptists, absolute religious liberty, and so on. But to the extent permitted by law, the office seeks to, from time to time, consult with and seek information from experts and various faith and community leaders identified by the White House Faith Office and other EOP components, including those from outside the federal government and those from state, local, and tribal governments. These experts and leaders shall be identified based on their expertise in a broad range of areas and faith-based entities. It's a consultant issue. Just as you would consult a military leader, you would consult a faith leader as far as our policies, what we're promoting, what we're standing for, right? This has been done before. Maybe not in quite as much an official capacity, but maybe so. I'll remind you, when Billy Graham was alive, he met with essentially every single president, all the way going back to Truman. So, a number of times he was offered positions, but he always turned them down. But Harry Truman, I'm here on the BillyGraham.org website. But Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump. And he passed before Biden got in office. But I would imagine even as progressive, regressive as Biden was, he probably still would have met with Billy Graham. when if Billy Graham would have still been living. And, Biden may have met with Franklin Graham. I don't know about that. He may not have, because Franklin Graham was pretty outspoken supporting Trump. So I don't know if he met with him or not. I don't know if I'm seeing anything. I don't know that Franklin Graham ever met. It doesn't look like they ever met together. If you know of any document that hey, Thomas, I see in your comment there, the Pennsylvanians were Quakers. I know that they were Quakers, but also they had a constitution, or that they had an organization of church government, Congregationalists, Presbyterians. I'm trying to remember the historical thing there. They're Presbyterians, a form of church governance, right? It's not automatically denominations when you think of that, even though a lot of times it does have the connection there. But it's not a new thing for presidents to have faith consultants, religious consultants. So the office of faith, it's not doing anything, at least as far as this concerns consulting, doing anything all that groundbreaking. It goes on to say these experts and leaders shall be identified based on their expertise in a broad range of areas in which faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship operate, including protecting women and children, strengthening marriage and family, lifting up individuals through work and self-sufficiency, defending religious liberty, combating anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and additional forms of anti-religious bias. I think, I will say, if we really are going to uphold the principles of the Constitution, that there has been anti-Christian sentiments in our federal government. I don't know how many people I've talked to that have tried to adopt and are not able to because they want to take the children to a Christian school instead of a public school, things like that, or homeschool. So there is a clear anti-Christian bias that have been in these institutions, and so I do fully support that. If there is a clear institutional bias, it needs to be carried out. Make recommendations to the president through the assistant to the president for domestic policy regarding changes to policies, programs, and practices. Those things are okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with consulting recommendations. I take no issue with that. I think that's excellent. I mean, ideally, you have a president that goes to church and listens to the recommendations of his preacher, right? Maybe not as far as policy goes, but he can hear his preacher saying, this is the biblical basis for family. This is the biblical basis for men and women and the value of life. I would like those things. Those would be great. Convene meetings with representatives from the Centers for Faith and other representatives. So a lot of these things are quite good. I don't like the idea of, obviously, there's a number of actually things as you go further down that actually look quite good. I like this one right here. It says, oh, I just saw it and I scrolled past it. Can't remember which point it was. I'm still looking for the one I saw. I mean, most of these all look okay. Oh, here's the identify and propose means to reduce burdens on the free exercise of religion. Like if a football coach wants to pray with his players, including legislative, regulatory, and other barriers to the full and active participation of faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship. in government-funded or government-conducted activities and programs. So still allowing you, even if you're within the umbrella of the federal government, to exercise faith. I think that's a very good thing. I am for that. The biggest things I do not like is the funding, the federal funding. Now, who has Trump placed in charge of the to be the leader of the White House Faith Office? And that is Paula White. I'm getting this from Premier Christian News, this article right here. I'm not sure much about Premier Christian News as far as their leanings. They seem to be pretty conservative. At least they're not a fan of Paula White. So with that, as we read this article here, I'll go ahead and read some of it to you. President Trump has sparked controversy within the Christian community after appointing televangelist Paula White to lead a newly established White House faith office. Now, from what I understand, here's the thing. I've heard of Paula White before. You also have to keep in mind, I'm 29 years old. I'll turn 30 in the summer. Probably when Paula White was towards her height, I was 5, 6 years old. And my parents were not televangelist watchers. Now, first of all, they were conservatives, and so if there was a lady preacher, we weren't going to listen to it. But I haven't watched a lot of televangelists. I do know enough to say if she's a televangelist, megachurch woman who says she's a pastor, right? Probably a lot of evangelical garbage. Go check out my friend Dr. White's book, Evangelical Garbage, available on Dispensational Publishing House. The article goes on and says, while the administration praised White as a champion for religious freedom and humanitarian rights, many Christian leaders, including conservative evangelicals, have strongly criticized the decision. White, a megachurch pastor from Florida, by the way, Dr. Randy White has no relation to Paula White. Actually, I think I've gotten messages from people before. Is this the Randy White that was married to Paula White? This is not the same Randy White, okay? A megachurch pastor from Florida has long been associated with the prosperity gospel, a theological belief that links financial contributions to spiritual rewards. She is not alone in that. I haven't listened to her ever, at least as far as I know, not on purpose. Prosperity gospel is very common. Tulsa area in Oklahoma is famous for prosperity gospel. So much evangelical stuff is being pumped out into the Tulsa area. And that was one of the things when I started pastoring. I was pastoring in the Tulsa area. And I was all geared up to combat Calvinism. But Calvinism's not even that big of a deal in Tulsa, at least compared to prosperity gospel. Apparently, the prosperity gospel is much more severe. I don't know if we have Clint on with us. Clint is over in the Tulsa area. Clint, if you're hearing us today, let us know. Is it still a pretty bad deal? Now, let's get back to the article here. It says, critics argue that her teachings exploit vulnerable believers by promising material blessings in exchange for donations, often suggesting specific sums over $1,000. Wow, that's quite a good little contribution there. If anybody'd like to donate $1,000. Here's something I'm going to say. In no way am I trying to defend Paula White. There are some preachers out there, Baptists, looking at you, who will hear Paula White and then saddle up their righteous high horse. I mean, this thing probably stands 18 hands. It's up there. Those of you familiar with horses, you'll know that's no small horse. They'll saddle up that high horse and get ready to ride into town. I have heard from Baptist preachers something along the lines of this. If you are thinking there's no way that you can afford to donate whatever you think you should donate. There's a number in your head, I'm sure, that you know that the church, we're trying to build this new building. We're trying to fund this mission trip, fill in the blank. We're trying to increase the church budget so the preacher can get a raise. Oh, they probably don't say that out loud. But you need to trust God. In Malachi, the Lord said, if you will give your tithes, just wait and see how I bless you. I know a man, he felt in his heart that he needed to give $5,000 to help fund the new church building. And him and his wife had a long discussion through much prayer. They felt that there was no way they could afford to do it, but they did it anyways. And you know what happened? A few weeks later, the man got a check in the mail for such and such amount of money. The Lord provides. The Lord provides. How is that different from Paula White saying, if you want the Lord to bless you, donate $1,000 to my ministry, whatever. What is the difference? So I'm sitting here saying both cases are inappropriate, all right? Ready? Here we go. All right. Watch how I spin this into a pitch for you to support my ministry, okay? If you would like to support my ministry, you can do it. You can go to markbazeministries.org and you can click the Support Our Ministry button, and it'll give you some options. Now, if you don't have the money to donate, you better not do it, because I can't guarantee that if you donate your grocery bill, that you're going to be able to pay for groceries later in the month. It's probably a smart idea to not give more than what you can. And if you can't really give it all, then you better just hold on to your money, because truth be told, I would rather you have food in your house than to give me money, because I promise you, giving me money in no way guarantees you any physical blessing, okay? So if you would like to support my ministry, help me afford a babysitter so I can work more on sermons, then you can do that, absolutely. But if you can't afford it, don't do it, because I cannot sit here and tell you with a clean conscience that God is going to bless you if you bless me. I'm not Israel, and we're not in the dispensation of blessing Israel, okay? So with that, how about that for a rightly divided pitch for you to support my ministry, okay? So if you can afford it, great. I appreciate it. Probably don't give more than you can handle, all right? If it's more than enough to make you kind of feel not sure about how the month's going to play out, you better not do it. But my point is, yes, Paula White, her pitch to get people to support her ministry, that's not good. But also all you Baptist preachers who want to say, we just got to trust God. The Lord has laid it on my heart. We got to build this new sanctuary. I guess for some reason we're in the deep south. We got to build this sanctuary, and I know that you don't know how you're going to make it through, but the Lord provideth. Just give and let God. Give and let God. In the money tray, right here. So yeah, she probably preaches a prosperity gospel, but you know what? Some of these preachers out here who would throw stones at Paula White, they have their own issues, right? In trying to pitch their own form of prosperity. What are my thoughts ultimately regarding? So the thing is, Trump does have a history with Paula White. It says White's relationship with Trump dates back to 2002 when he reached out to her after watching one of her sermons on television. She later served as his spiritual advisor during his first term in office. This is true. The truth is, they go back a ways. They have friends. Trump's probably donated to her ministry. And he uses it as a tax write-off because, hey, of course I know that the tax code's corrupt. I use it. All that to be said, here's the thing. Is it great that Trump has chose Paula White to head up the office of faith? No, it's not. At the same time, at least Trump is thinking about it. At least Trump cares, all right? That's more than what we got. The world of politics, see, the thing is this is not a game of total victory, okay? If you think the game of politics is total victory, you will always be upset. The game is this, okay? The game is get what you can. Get what you can. You know what? Trump made an executive order to address anti-Christian bias in the federal government. Excellent. Okay? Fantastic. He picked Paula White to head the office. Oh well, it's never can. You can't always have what you want. But you know what we need right now? We at least need a president who's not going to be having men who got surgeries to make them look like women and trance around on the White House grounds doing perverse things. Can we just be happy? Okay? I know, so my son, okay? Here's a great analogy. My son loves Chicken Express. If you've never had Chicken Express, it is excellent. Quite frankly, it's the best chicken strips in the entire world, bar none. When I first tried a Chicken Express, I said, wow, what an amazing piece of chicken this is. My Trump son loves Chicken Express, all right? But sometimes we just don't go to Chicken Express. Every now and then you want a burger and you go to Brahms. Or you go to, well, that's about it. We go to Brahms or we go to Chicken Express. There's not a lot of in between. Sometimes we go to Subway. But we go to Brahms. And Brahms has chicken strips too. They're not Chicken Express chicken strips because it's just not. Chicken Express specializes in chicken. Brahms specializes in ice cream and burgers. And yes, Dr. White, I know that, not Paula White, Dr. Randy White. This is confusing. I'm not going to talk about her much because this is all mixing us up. But yes, I know, Whataburger has good burgers, but do not disrespect the Brahms burger, okay? So I get back to my point on the chicken strips here. My son would prefer to have Chicken Express. I would love for, Trump to appoint me to be the head of the Office of Faith. First of all, my first implementation is any pastor that wears skinny jeans should be fired, okay? No skinny jeans allowed, okay? Forbidden. Number 2, every preacher must use a King James Bible. It's number 2. Number 3, no female preacher. Right, I could get on a tangent here with that being said. I would love to be the advisor to the Office of Faith or whatever, but you know what? Sometimes you can't have Chicken Express. But you know what we can do? We can go to Brahms and get chicken strips. And they're not Chicken Express chicken strips, but they're still chicken strips, and at least there's something better than nothing, right? That's kind of what politics is, people. It's something better than nothing. You can ride in on your 18-hand high horse, and you can ride in on your high horse and say, I'm not going to vote for Trump because he had Paula White be his spiritual advisor, and then you could have Kamala Harris cackling her way into the White House, and now she's going to be writing checks to every, abortion clinic you can think of. Or, you know what? We're going to have Trump in there, and Trump will say some wild things, and he'll appoint Paula White to lead the Office of Faith. But you know what? It's better than what you got. Brahms chicken strips are better than no chicken strips. So there's your amazing analogy for you, okay? All right. Here's, let's see. Let's see some comments today as I get ready to wrap up. I told you that's all I had today, not a lot of stuff. Paul says, Mark got the Bible ordered. Hey, yeah, he ordered a King James version from our good friend Dr. White. Not Paula White. Mom, good to see you today. Alan in Portland. Alan found us all the way back with the small church video. Alan, I'm always glad when I see you because sometimes I worry, like, is Alan still with us? And it's always good to see that you are. Let's see. Ken's on today from Mississippi. Our friend from South Africa, Alwyn, is that how we say your name? I will say, we really, are you guys okay? Because I have been hearing that there is a lot of contention and strife going on in South Africa right now. Alwyn, I hope you're all right. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Southeast Okie. But it's great to have you on. I saw that you joined us the other day for our sermon. It's really nice to meet you. I hope y'all are okay down there in South Africa. Thomas Gann says Society of Friends. Yes, I think they were in Pennsylvania as well. They did have a specific kind of congregation, though. Scott's with us. My mom says there's a new PureFlix movie coming out about a coach who is fighting for his right to pray before the game. Yeah, I think that Trump's going to handle and address those things. Neil on with us. Yeah, Neil, you're right. It's all about the money. That's correct. Ken says, chest of Joash guilt trip. Scott, Neil says, don't stop believing. And Scott responded with, Paula's current hubby co-wrote that song, Neil. I guess you're talking about, who wrote Journey? Like, was one of the Journey people the one that wrote that song? Ken's on with us, better late than never. I guess so. We'll forgive you. Michaela's on with us. I guess she was saying hilarious about my Trump impersonation. You are welcome, Michaela. I hope you like it. Some days it's better than others, but today it's not bad. Not bad. Earl says, Mark, love your scriptural standing and ideal. Let prosperity preachers send me $1,000. Maybe they That's a good one. Yeah, why does it always work one way? Earl, that's a great point. The prosperity preachers are always like, you got to give me money to be blessed. I'm not giving you any money. Yeah, come on now. Paula White, write me a check for $100,000 and just see how God blesses you, okay? Oh, man, that is good. That's good. I like it. And Neil says you can grocery shop at Brahms. Neil, where do you live? Because if you know about Brahms, then you must be nearby. And in which case, you need to go and attend our Bible conference. I'm going to plug it one more time. Neil, if you're close by, come to Durant, March 28th through the 30th, addressing common Bible study mistakes. It's going to be a great time. Would love to see you all there. Any questions, let me know. We do have another sponsor that can provide you housing. Just contact me. We can try to work through that. Let's see here. Yeah, Ken says Whataburger. I know, you Texans are so high and mighty on your Whataburgers. It's good, but Brahms is the whole package. Let's see here. Yeah, Neil says no women allowed as pastors either, correct. Scott says, so being me, I'm going to throw this out there, and if you don't like it, you can throw it right back. Okay, whatever you're going to throw, Scott, we're ready for you to throw it. I just don't know what you're going to throw yet. Or maybe I don't understand the context. Neil says, I don't think there should be a faith office at any level of government. Why is it even needed? Yeah, and that's my point. You know, like I said earlier, I do not like big government. I'm just saying we're at where we're at. Oh, Neil, okay. I got you. You throw me off with your handle names, okay? Hey, good luck with the interview, by the way. I hope you get it for more than one reason. Alvin says it's the same as Alvin. Alvin, I've got your name down right. Okay. Alvin says there's some politics in South Africa going on, but I trust in the Lord. It scares me, not going to lie, but things will be okay. Well, we'll be praying for you. I know that temperatures are heating up there. Alvin says, I like your church because I also go to a small church, maybe 20 to 30 members, but it's all sound doctrine, not prosperity. Excellent. I'm so encouraged to hear that, Alvin. Ken says someday I'll do my Clinton impersonation for you. Sure. Michaela says, I'm seeing a lot of debate about whether Trinity is real since it's not directly stated in the Bible. Can you go over this one day? Yeah, I'll write that down in my notes for Theology Thursday, Michaela. Always happy to do that. Let me get it with my set of questions. Michaela you're our friend in Massachusetts, right, Michaela? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where you're from. Neil said, yeah, okay. All right, well, everybody, with that, I don't think I have anything else for you today. I'm going to go ahead and let you go a little bit early because I'm going to go downstairs and start working on... Rick, I bet you do a good Dr. Phil. But I'm going to go ahead and get downstairs and get started working on the Bible conference. With that, hey, it's been a lot of fun. It's always encouraging to me to get to visit with all of you. I'm thankful that we live in this time where we can fellowship together. And we can also defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship together. This has been Shields and Arrows. We'll be back tomorrow for more. I am Pastor Mark Baze. Thank you all so much. If you'd like to contact me, go to markbazeministries.org. And if you would like to support the ministry, I can make no promises that you will be blessed, other than just simply getting to help this ministry. Thank you all so much. Take care.